So I'm Kyra, the Radical Empath. I am a massage therapist and energy healer. My office is in Olathe, Kansas, and I'm here with my story entitled My Radical Truth, A Black Woman's Perception. So a 4.5-hour flight and a 2-hour layover, I arrive in a jungle oasis for a 7-day, 8-night meditation and yoga retreat, right? This is being held by 2 shamanic healers. One is a woman actually here from Kansas City, and the other is her husband, who is Venezuelan. She's actually a white woman. So the retreat is like this beautiful week of like shared accommodations and vegan meals and like daily yoga or light movement. And then we're actually having 3 different plant-based meditation ceremonies. So the ceremonies themselves are meant to last 4 to 6 hours apiece. And these ceremonies allow you to kind of get out of your own mind, release your fears, and jump into like your real true self and communicate with yourself in a spiritual way. And so after you get done with these ceremonies, while we're still in ceremony as a group, we go around and we all talk about our different experiences and the different insights that we came up with. And oddly enough, different people's insight will spark different things that you experienced in your ceremonial trip that will allow you to kind of understand more of what came up for you, because in ceremony, we're sitting in a circle and we're all actually connected. So the different things that we actually experience is sometimes coming up for other people as well, but it's the same thing within us, kind of reiterating that concept that we're all connected, right? But what's dominant for you is what's actually coming up. So every other ceremony that I had been in, this one included, I was the only Black woman that actually was in ceremony, including the leaders. And so it was a normal ceremony for me, and I had been to many ceremonies, but the second ceremony that we had at this retreat sparked something in me. So after the second ceremony, as everybody was going through and actually talking about their insight, even the shamanic leaders actually like partake in the ceremony as well. So they also talk about their insight. So they usually save their insight for the last. So everybody had went around and talked about their insight. And we got to the woman shamanic leader who was speaking of her experience and how she got this new breakthrough and this new understanding of things that she had been through in her past. And I was really, really resonating with what she had been through. I mean, she talked about forgiving people for traumas that, you know, they had caused her in the past, and understanding how that experience had developed in other places in her life later on down the line, and how powerful it was to actually go down to the root cause and uproot it and forgive and let go and make peace with that whole line of trauma in her lifetime. Very powerful healing. She spoke of being misunderstood in this lifetime. And as a spiritually led person in this lifetime, and the first in my family, that resonates with me, right? So, of course, when we're just ending ceremony, you're still kind of feeling the medication, but you're still present, right? The medicine, but you're still present. And so I am deeply feeling everything that she's saying, because it's resonating with parts of myself that maybe I hadn't explored, or maybe I haven't allowed myself to hold truth in. But she made one statement that did not sit well with me. She talks about how she got an insight that she now understands why her and her parents never connected well. It was because she had been struggling in this lifetime, because she now understands that her soul, her words were, her soul is a Black woman. And it is unfair that she has had to live this life in the skin that she is currently in, was her statement. So she finished talking about her experience, but that statement alone put me into this process. This very visceral mind, body, spiritual process where I couldn't receive anything else that she said. I couldn't receive the ending of the ceremony, the closing of the circle, the tips that her husband gave about implementing in this information and sitting with this I couldn't receive anything else. So the circle closed. We were all going back to our accommodations, and I was having a hard time processing what was just said. I told myself I was just going to go to my room and I was going to go to sleep, and I would sleep on it. I went to go to my room, and I really needed to use the restroom. My roommate was in the restroom, so there was a shared space where we actually had our meals at, right across the walkway. So I decided to go over to the shared space to use the restroom. And it was almost like my spirit wouldn't allow me to rest. It was like, no, you have to keep moving. Like, the night is not done for you. So I went to use the restroom. And when I came out of the restroom, I was heading back to my room, and my body would not let me come off the stoop. So now I'm just sitting outside, and I mean, it is middle of the night, out in the jungle, no lights, like just sitting outside. And I am back in process mode. So I'm like, okay, I obviously need help processing this because I am stuck. And there was one other minority actually in the group. She was of Asian descent. And she passed by, and I asked if I could, get her opinion on something. So she comes over and she was like, yeah, it looks like you're having a hard time processing. And I was like, I am. And she stopped me before I could say anything and was like, I know exactly what you're having a hard time processing. I heard it. I was there. And I was like, how do I handle this? Like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to communicate the way that I feel. I don't know how to process this. And her response was so genuine. And it was that I cannot resonate with what you are currently going through. All I can do is tell you that you need to talk to her directly. That's the only thing that's going to free you. This sat heavy because communication was not my strong point at this point in time in my healing journey, but it was definitely something that I was working towards working on. But here it was in front of me, right? And that's kind of how the healing journey goes. Like, you need to work on something, and then bam, it's there. An opportunity for you to work on it. Just like that, here she comes walking right in front of us. So I thank the young lady for her advice, and I take a deep breath. And even though I don't know how to start this conversation, even though I don't know what I feel and I don't know how to communicate what I feel, I tell her that I need to speak with her, the leader. She asked me to give her a moment to set her belongings down, and she would come back. And you can tell that she knew that I was going through something. She knew that I was processing something. But I think that she was very much so in the mindset that, I'm the leader of this retreat. So a participant is going through something. I'm going to hold space for her. I don't think she had any idea what was actually coming her way. But she came wholeheartedly, and she sat down on the stoop with me, and she asked me to let her in. And I did. I held space for myself, and she held space for me, and I just started verbalizing my truth without thinking about it, without overthinking it, being very vulnerable, being very present. And I let her know that her words hurt. I let her know that this journey in this space is very, very hard for me. I let her know, I let her know that it was hurtful, the words that she spoke. And as a Black woman in this lifetime, going through this experience, for her to say that it is unfair for her to not be able to live fully as herself without the knowledge of the restrictions that I have as a Black woman in this experience was hurtful. And I let the tears flow, and I let the emotions show. And at one point in time, I wouldn't have. At one point in time, I would have seen this as weakness. At one point in time, I would have seen this as letting the enemy know that they hurt you. But I see this as strength now, because I was able to let her know in a very vulnerable, heartfelt way what her actions made me feel. And I also let her know that I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we live different, multiple lives. And I believe that every lifetime you're not necessarily the same race, right? But I also believe that your soul doesn't have a race. That's why you can live multiple lifetimes in different forms. I may be an animal in one lifetime, right? So you may be able to resonate from a past lifetime with another race. Tap into that. It'll bring us closer together. But for you to say that your soul is of a race, and for you to say that it is unfair for you to have this experience as another race, is diminishing my experience as a Black woman. Not to mention, being in this spiritual space, right? The learnings and the teachings of being connected with yourself spiritually and connected with the earth and connected with others is something that used to be handed down generationally. It's something that used to be taught from the elders to the young. And unfortunately, in this culture, in this society, on this land, that was ripped from my ancestors. I don't have that generational teaching, that blessing given down. So I've had to search for that. I've had to pay for that. I've had to save up, being a single mom, growing up in the inner city, being raised by a single mom. I had to figure out how to cultivate the money to be able to learn my own ancestral teachings. And then to do that and be in a space where the leader hurts me in this way, it's frustrating. So the leader held space for all of this. She did not speak while I spoke. She was engaged with me with eye contact the entire time. She was holding me without saying a word. And it allowed me to freely state all of these things. And when I got done, she asked me if I let it all out, and I did. I felt lighter. I felt better. She thanked me for stating this truth in a way in which she could receive it. She thanked me for teaching her a new way to communicate and a new awareness of communication and how it can actually allow somebody to receive or put up a brick wall from somebody receiving. And she promised me that she would sit with this conversation and move forward accordingly. Now, moving forward accordingly, I don't know what that means, but that experience was not about her. It was not about me proving anything to her or changing her mind or anything like that, because I believe in the universal lessons, right? And I know how the universal lessons work. If you're given a lesson gently and you don't receive it, it's going to come back. And it's going to come back harsher. So I pray that she received it in this very gentle way, because this is the most gentle way you can receive this lesson. But if it didn't, that's not on me. That's not my burden. But what I received from this experience was a tangible experience of my own growth, right? My own communication, my own expression of self, expression of truth, my own standing in my knowing, my own feeling what I feel so freely that it brought freedom to my experience, right? I was able to express and release what was in my head, what was in my heart, what was in my spirit. And all of this expression sits in my receiving chakras. So this was a benchmark for me. Knowing that I was now ready to receive higher experiences. I was now ready to receive more beautiful experiences, because I had received so many life lessons through hurt, through pain, right? Because that was the only way I knew. That was my norm. But now I was demanding that I receive experiences through love and gentleness. And since that experience, I've actually been in 2 ceremonies by Black women, for Black women, and they have been beautiful and powerful experiences for me, because I never thought they would happen. So I'm sitting here today, expressing my truth, my radical truth of Black women's perception. Thank you.